I live life to experience. I promote change. This is my life. This is my life channel.
Okay, so now that I've gotten my introduction video out of the way and everyone knows what my channel is about now, I would like to talk about my first topic, and it is the topic surrounding depression and anxiety and empaths and highly sensitive people. So, as I told everyone, I started to have really bad panic attacks about 2 years ago. And, I would have anxiety just out of the blue for no reason, out of nowhere, and just I couldn't understand what it was coming from. I have two little boys, and around that time, from what I can remember, around that time, I had started seeing someone, and their dad was not happy about that, and so he stopped coming around. I was never the type of person that would ever, keep someone's children from them anyway. So, anyway, so I would tell him he could come see them anytime he wanted to, whatever. And once I started dating someone else, he stopped coming around. I really hate that because it's not about us, it's about the kids, And anyway, that's neither here nor there. However, that happened. And so I started about 2 years ago. I started dating someone I knew. Their father stopped coming around, and I started getting really bad anxiety and panic attacks. So fast forward to about a year later, I ended up having to be admitted to a hospital so that they could try and control the anxiety because it was out of control. And yeah, I went there. I learned about yoga while I was there, so I really liked that because it really calmed me on the inside, and it really did help me like bring that energy down, that anxiety down. And so it helped bring the anxiety down, and it just made me feel more peaceful. So I adapted that into, my lifestyle. I started doing a little yoga, and then it was like, it started to get worse. I stopped doing the yoga, of course, once I left the hospital. It started to get worse, and I couldn't understand what was happening to me. And it was a random cycle. Like, for days I would be anxious, and then I would come down, and then I would be sad, and then I would be anxious, and then I would be sad, and then, you know what I mean, like, then I would be okay for like a day, and then I'd be, it was just a cycle. And it was like every 3 days or so, it would just cycle in and out, these feelings. And I was just like, I don't understand it. I was going to the doctors, talking to psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, and they said, well, maybe it's something going on in your personal life, And I'm like, but there's nothing triggering these things. Like, it's just happening to me. It's a cycle, and it just keeps happening. No one could explain to me what was going on. And then I kind of convinced myself, well, maybe it's just chemical. Like, there's nothing in my environment happening. So maybe it's just like, maybe my body is just, broken. Maybe I'm all jacked up. And, that's when I became more depressed because I was hopeless, because there was no real reason to explain why I was having such high anxiety and having these anxiety attacks all the time. Like, there was nothing to explain it. And then I got a break. You know, I have been doing some studying and things like that, and I went on a vacation. I had to leave my sons with a family friend because my partner and I, we went on a just a getaway. And while we were gone, I felt I wasn't quite normal, but the high anxiety was like almost non-existent. You know, still felt a little shaky here and there, but for the most part, the anxiety was down. And I thought to myself, well, maybe it's because I needed a vacation. Maybe that's what that was, you know? Maybe I needed to get away. And then, you know, while I was away, I called my sons one time to check on them to see how they were doing. And I got this, like, my anxiety shot through the roof. And I was crying because then, you know, I felt like a bad mother. Oh, you know, I wanted this vacation. I left the boys. They should have came with me. And, you know, my partner pulled me back to life, back to reality, and was explaining to me, you know what, sometimes you need to get away. And, you know, sometimes they need to get away from you. So you're not, you know, you make sure that the boys have everything that they need in life. You know, they have everything they could ever want. You know, they're eating well. You know, you're a good mom. So let's not go there. So I dried my tears up and I'm like, okay. So I thought about calling them again, but I just, from the last day, there was just some type of connection that was made there, and I just felt so horrible after I got off the phone talking to the boys. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to call them to disturb them, to disturb their environment, you know, because I'm calling with all this anxiety, right? It's me. I'm all anxious. I'm calling them and, you know, making them more anxious. I don't know. It was a crazy thought. You know, I'm just trying to, in my mind, I'm leading you through the mental thought process that it was in my mind. Of course, it doesn't make any sense now, but. So we ended up coming back off the vacation, and I felt good. I felt great, you know, revitalized. I had a vacation, blah, blah, blah. And I went to go pick up my sons. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. This high anxiety just, I couldn't breathe. I just felt sick. And then I started to do some research, more research. I know, that's my thing. And I ran into some information about being empathic. And I was like, well, what is this? So I'm going through the information, and I'm hearing, oh, here's, 6 signs that you're empathic. Do you cry for no reason sometimes? Do you need to get away from like high energy, high anxiety situations? Well, not even high anxiety, but just a bunch of people, a lot of energy in a room. Do you need to get away? Do you find yourself having unexplained anxiety? It's just the different signs, I looked them up, and I noticed that everything that was being explained was what I was feeling. And so I was like, you know what? No, I can't be. Is this real? I said, okay, an empath. I might be an empath. Okay, let's test this theory out. So I used my yoga techniques and my chakra cleansing to cleanse my energy. And I was like, I would get closer to my son, because at first it was both of them because they would always be together. But then the older one, like I noticed that he would be kind of tearful sometimes. He looked stressed. And so it dawned on me. And I looked at my partner and I said, baby, I don't think this is my anxiety. Like all this time, these whole 2 years, I've been feeling like I'm dying on the inside. And it's not me. There's nothing happening with me to make me feel this way. But my son, he's going through an emotional crisis right now. His dad just abruptly stopped coming to see him. He's having a hard time in, concentrating in school. He's getting in trouble because, he's just doing things that aren't him, And it dawned on me. Maybe the emotions and anxiety that I'm feeling is not my stuff. This is not my stuff, because when I leave from around him, I'm fine. But then when we're in the same area, we're close, then I feel this really high anxiety type stuff. It hit me, and I started to cry. I started to cry, one, again, because I was grateful that this was being revealed to me, but I was so sad for him. Because my son, if I feel like I'm dying on the inside, what must he feel like, And it was eye-opening, it was humbling, and from that day forward, I decided to try and be more conscious about how he's feeling. And ever since then, I've been if I come into his presence and I start to feel anxious, I ask him to take 3 deep breaths and to calm it down, and then the anxiety starts to go away, and so it's crazy. It's really crazy, but I'm really happy that I figured it out finally, because that was hell for me and him, apparently. But so that's how I realized that I'm an empath. And once I realized that, I started to pay more attention to it and starting, to kind of fine tune that ability to pick up that energy and frequency. So when my partner would start to get a headache, I'd start to feel pressure in my head, and I would ask, how's your head feeling? And I would get a reply oh, I'm starting to get a headache. I knew it, because I'm starting to get a headache, and I'm not doing anything to get a headache. That's the upside. I'm able to be more discerning of the energies around me. I had to figure out how to kind of close myself off to all the energies that are around me. So what I do for that is I just do a mental exercise to kind of close myself off from all this extra high energy, and that works really well. So ever since, I've been able to pinpoint why I had been having this anxiety the way that I have, things have been so much better for me. I'm able to control my emotions. And I'm also able to now help my son work through his issues because we're that much more connected. Yeah. So I just wanted to share my realization of me being an empath. Do I like it? I think it's cool. I think it's cool. Now that I know what it is and now that I know how to control it, it's way better, you know, and I can, now I'm trying to think of ways like I can help people now, you know, instead of feeling like I'm dying because I don't know what's going on with me. But, you know, it was a long journey. It was a long journey. But, yeah, I'm an empath and I accept it. I accept that.